Hello, good evening. Hello. Hi, good evening. Welcome to the session. I see we have Hussam here, Jamal, Mohammed's just joined. Good evening, everyone. We've got Saha online now. Another Mohammed. Welcome, welcome everybody. Atif has just joined. Good evening. So we're probably going to give it another 4 or 5 minutes to get things underway. Wait till a few more people join. I think we have around about 50 attendees on the registration list. So hopefully a few of them can make it tonight and we can have a good session. So I'll start perhaps by giving you a brief introduction about myself. My name's James Mitchell. I'm a director here at Morgan International in the Dubai branch. I've been with Morgan for about a year and a half, and I head up this particular business unit. I'm not an instructor. I don't know the very technical information about this course, but I do talk to people day in, day out about the course. So I'm interacting with all of our instructors, all our team in the back office, and we facilitate the course. I attend all of these sessions, and I try and sit in as many classes as I can for my own personal education, because it's a very interesting subject. And my background is I've been in the Middle East around coming up 13 years, and I've worked in many sectors: financial services, IT, enterprise sales. I've worked throughout KSA, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait. So I've got a lot of experience in this region. I previously worked in healthcare, and then I made the jump in education. So that's a little bit about me. Now, I want to start by giving you guys just a bit of, let's say, orientation here. You've got a box at the bottom that says Q&A. When you join this session, you're automatically muted. Now, we don't have a huge number of people, so I've got no issue at all if anyone wants to unmute themselves and ask a question. Please feel free. But if you would like to, what I would prefer is that you could click the Q&A box at the bottom. It's right in the center, and put your question in there. That gives me an opportunity to see the question, because this is hopefully going to be quite a comprehensive orientation, let's call it, session. So I think we might cover a lot of the questions that come out as we progress through this session, but we don't want to miss anyone's for sure. And I may not have the answer to all the questions, so for sure, then if we have it recorded, we can get back to you and we can get you the answer as soon as possible. But that's the first thing. So you can use the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and you can use the chat box, and you can chat with me individually or in the group. This is entirely up to you, whatever you prefer. If we want to open it up to a group discussion, that's great. And usually when we run these type of information sessions, we have people that are from the industry, people that are not from the industry. We have discussions between each other, people from various, well, they're in the role, let's say, of the internal audit, but they're working in very different types of organization or business. So, you know, hopefully we can also share some knowledge together today as well. And I think we all have something to learn from one another. And this is one of the things I love about education. You can never know everything. So this is one thing. Now, what I would also like to ask at the beginning as well is, please, if you can also write in this K box or in the chat any specific questions that you definitely do not want to end the session without asking, okay? Because we put this session here for you, and we want you to take away as much as you possibly can from this session. So please feel free to go and do that. I just see we've had a few more joiners now. Don't worry, you've not missed much. I've just introduced myself. My name's James Mitchell, and I'm the director for the business unit in Dubai. I'm here to talk about the Certified Internal Auditor program. As I mentioned, if you have any particular questions, you can pop them in this Q&A box, and we will make sure that we try to address these throughout the session if there's anything specific that you want. So I'm just going to give it a few more minutes and see if anybody else joins. But while I'm doing that, I did have a brief look at the list of attendees before I on the session today. I noticed we have people from throughout the region. There are also people from Far East, from even the US. I saw somebody also from the UK. Who here tonight is here from KSA? Do we have anyone from the group in KSA? Anybody? Oh, somebody's put their hand up here. Let me see who that is. Ah, Hussam, welcome. Are you from, whereabouts in KSA are you from? I'm very familiar with Dammam area and Dhahran, Riyadh. Been to Jeddah many times. Any of those cities or somewhere else? I've got Tatif as well from KSA, right? Good. So anyone here from the UAE joining tonight? Anyone from Dubai? Or I see my colleague Sawale as well as just joined the session. He's up in our Abu Dhabi branch. I have any other Morgan team members from around the region? We're quite a big organization. We have 32 branches around the world, so we've got quite a few staff, many of whom I've not had the pleasure of meeting. Dr. Ravi has joined us. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. How about Lebanon? Anyone from Beirut? Because we have a team. This is where our head office. Good evening, guys from Beirut. Hi. Look, I mean, we really feel for what's happened over there. I mean, it's deeply affected our team as an organisation, and I can only imagine it's been very tough on everyone. So sorry to hear about all of the issues and things that's you faced with this situation with the explosion last week. It really is terrible, and really we do send our thoughts to you and our prayers. So I think, look, we've killed 7 minutes with me just carrying on. As I just mentioned, if you have any particular points that you would like me to address, and you feel that these are essential to you in terms of you attending this session, just pop them in the Q&A box or the question box. I don't think I've received any yet. No, there's no notifications. So please pop them in, because we don't want you to leave this session with unanswered questions. We want you to get the best possible outcome from this. So please feel free to do that. Now, unless anybody wants to ask anything right now, and as I say, you're welcome to unmute your microphone and go ahead and ask a question if you want to. But your default setting is muted. Then I'm going to go into a presentation that we prepared for you about the Certified Internal Auditor qualification. Okay, so let me just get that presentation up for you. Okay. Just a moment. Here it is. Right, so let me just start by giving you the agenda. I'm going to give you a brief about Morgan, because I think it's important, just a perspective of you knowing who you're talking to and what our experience is in delivering these sort of courses. Will give you some confidence that we know what we're talking about, and we can help people succeed and get them through in the CIA certification program. So just a background about us. Then we're going to talk about what is the outlook for somebody who becomes a CIA. And I was trying to find some statistics before we started the call today about how many CIAs there are in the Middle East, in this particular region. And the most recent up-to-date number that I could find was from 2015. And there was around 3,000. And there were around, I think, 150,000 CIAs globally. So this is such a very small minority in this region. So I really think there's a huge sort of skills gap and demand for people that are certified here. Then I want to talk about the eligibility requirements. Some people get confused with them, and that is because depending on your qualification and your experience level, you may or may not be eligible, and there are different variables which come into play. And there is two areas in terms of eligibility, and we'll look at this when we go through this presentation, but there is being eligible to actually sit the exam in the first place, and then there's being eligible to certify. And the Institute of Internal Auditors, for them, this is two different things. So we'll explain that in a bit of detail for you and answer any questions you've got. Then we'll be talking about what to expect in the exam, who we work with in terms of our course syllabus, our curriculum, and our materials, and how these prep solutions can help somebody pass. So then we'll explain a little bit about what we put together and the program and everything that we have to get people through successfully, hopefully through efficiently, and hopefully through and pass first time and get certified as quickly as they possibly can, so that they can get on with their lives with a professional certification under their belt. So that's what we're going to cover. Then I'll go over some tips and advice. These are the sort of generic tips and advice I would say about any particular certification course. We have many thousands of people coming through every year doing certifications with Morgan. We have been in business for 25 years this year, in fact, and we have over 125,000 candidates and alumni. So this is huge, and we're running these sessions back to back, year round, all over the world, and we are continually taking feedback and improving the experience. I would like to touch on the fact as well that we have over 350 expert certified instructors in our network. One of the things that we have that is beneficial after COVID, it's driven a lot of people to online training, and we're providing the CIA as a live classroom environment. This really allows Morgan now to not just pick the best people from a particular region, but pick the best from the whole world to teach these courses. So, and you will look at some of these people's credentials and their background, and they're all senior guys. They're in their late 40s and 50s, the majority of them. They are serious people that have a lot of experience and can give you advice, but also pass the CIA certification, and they've helped many people pass through the exams, so they can help you also in navigating how to do that the best possible way that suits you. So we work with different partners around the world in terms of the delivery of the courses and that, and we're big. We're in 32 different locations. I'm not telling you that to show off, but just to tell you that, you know, you can count on us. We're not a fly-by-night company, and we would not have got this size if we were not good at what we were doing. And this gives us a huge amount of knowledge that we can impart on you to help you through. I'm just going to quickly touch on what we do in terms of our portfolio, and then we'll move on to actually about the CIA, which is what you're all here for. So we do the professional certifications and diplomas, of course. We offer foundational certificates. We have industry-specific workshops. We tend to specialize in the areas of finance, accounting, and audit, but we also work in HR and marketing. And we also are quite big in the supply chain certification area. So we help industries and businesses to run bespoke workshops or off-the-shelf workshops to help them improve and close basically skills gaps within their organizations and ultimately help them succeed. So these are some of the things we cover. This is our portfolio of certifications and diplomas. Now, the CIA, as you're probably aware, is the gold standard in the field of internal audit. There is, I'd say, nothing that is comparable with it globally. And it's a US accredited certification. most of our certifications are US accredited. So although we are licensed and regulated as education providers in every area that we operate, you can also, as well as having a course that is delivered and that you receive a certificate of completion and credits and everything from the local entity, you're going to get the international certification once you pass the examinations and you qualify. So that's it. These are some of our corporate network. Again, there are, I mean, I have files in the back of our office that we are in the process of archiving that go back to the mid-90s, before we actually changed our name to Morgan, when we first started operating. And almost every organization that you can think of that is in this part of the world, we've had candidates and businesses that we've done courses with over that period of time. And you look at the journey that these people have taken over those years and where they are today, and you see that after they become certified, it's helped them in progressing their career and things like that. It really is something that can really help somebody take their career to a completely different level. But again, I'm not showing you all of these references to show off. It's just to show you that if these guys, these big names, and I mean, with all the big four auditing firms, for instance, if everyone there can put their trust in us to deliver these courses, then for sure you can put your trust in us, and for sure we'll get you through. And we're very focused on the journey and not just the registration, the whole process of getting you to the end and getting you through and getting you with the certification, whatever it takes. Okay, so this is the outlook, I'd say, for internal auditors. This is from the US, okay? £38,000 more earnings than non-CIAs. Now, I don't know if that translates very well out here in this part of the world, but I do know for sure that CIAs are in high demand. And I do know that there is a shortage. And I definitely know that we are receiving by far the biggest interest of people physically coming to us and asking about courses from the government and semi-government sector in the UAE, and I don't know about some of the other regions, but is for CIA. And this is because now with the cross-border transactions, this part of the world actually creating it now itself as a financial center, and this all of the regional countries and cities have tried to do this. There's far more transparency, far more objectivity. There is international cross-border reporting. There are standards that need to be met, and there are not people here at the moment, enough people to actually guide these people through this transition. So this is why it's in high demand. And a lot of people come to us and they say, well, look, I don't know which certification to take. And I say, well, it depends. Do you want to be somebody who has a really strong certification that can take you in all sorts of different directions, but then you be competing in the job market with lots of other people who are also in those more holistic sort of certifications? Or do you want to be somebody who's very niche? And if you want to be someone who's very niche, yes, there may be fewer of you, but this will put you in higher demand. So I think it's a fantastic qualification, and a lot of people think this is a qualification for accounting and finance people. And back in the old school, I don't know how many people on the call here are actually working in internal audit today, but it was seen, I'm from the banking industry, it was seen that the internal audit was kind of a place where they'd send people from the finance department who didn't really get on with other people, and it was a kind of an outcast issue where someone would be shoved to the back room of the company and left in there. But now this is definitely not the case. Last 20 years of internal audit, and I started my career in banking in 1995, so I'm actually maybe a bit older than I look. This is now something that is part of the organization, that is an intrinsic part of the organization. It is supposed to be separate from reporting to functional managers and reporting directly to the board of directors. It's a role which is about creating value for the organization, about risk management. it's not just like being the police and hunting out and trying to find all the errors. It's about how do you, as a business, beat your competitors, create the most value for your customers, and add the most to your bottom line. And I think that is why CIAs globally do get paid more, because the market values them more highly because they're adding more value in the organization. So the market is pricing this a CIA. If I hire a CIA, they're better for my company than if I don't hire a CIA. So and you'll learn all about this on the course. It's a fantastic course, and it covers an awful lot more than sort of financial elements. So I think these are some of the benefits. CIA is supposed to be a thought leader in internal audit for the organization, the go-to person. I mean, this is a role of extreme, I'd say, levels of trust and responsibility, and you will be respected, and it is prestigious. So the leading authority on policies, controls, audit, these kind of things in the organization is the CIA. Okay, so there's no doubt that it's I'd say a very rewarding career to follow, and given the growth opportunities for the market for CIAs, I think a very secure route to take too. Okay, and of course, if you are a good CIA and happen to be also good at teaching, then your career is also maybe set with Morgan as a Morgan instructor. You never know. Okay, but I would like to say that probably all of our instructors I think we have as CIAs are all ex-Morgan students from many years ago that have progressed to various different levels in organizations around the region, and now have decided also to teach and give something back. Now, any questions so far at all? I think you guys have been very silent. I've not seen any pop-ups or messages. Maybe I'm not looking in the right place. I see, okay, we have a question. Let me see. Do you give a guarantee for passing the CIA? The answer is no, there is no guarantee that you will pass. However, if you do not pass, we guarantee that you can resit the course again with us for free. Okay, so ultimately, this is not, this is a, you know, we've already touched on the fact that this is a extremely, I'd say, high level certification in its field. It's the gold standard. So it's not going to be a walk in the park. So you know, there will be effort. We'll talk about that effort when we come towards the end of the presentation. But ultimately, at the same time, we don't give up on any of our candidates. So we have a program that works, and we help many people through successfully every single year. So all I say is that it's just like a fitness program or a diet plan or something. If you follow it, then you'll pass. It's as simple as that. And if you do not, then you may pass, you may not pass. But you will maximize your chances of passing if you follow it. Otherwise, we've got your back and come back and we'll help you again at no cost. Anyway, anything else at all before we carry on? Okay, I will continue. I see a few more people have joined us since. Welcome, good evening, guys. Let's talk now about the different types of business. Look, I think that really any type of business or public sector in the future, as organizations get bigger and bigger, and we have multinationals and cross-border transactions and government, private sector, compliance, reporting standards increasing, transparency, you're going to need CIAs, bottom line, okay? So it's a very important credential to have. I think that this is also an important thing to discuss. There are some very important things. The Institute of Internal Auditors, as I mentioned, they expect their CIAs as ambassadors for internal audit around the world to be the leading authority. So they can't just arm them with that knowledge and that technical ability. They also have to arm them with the ability to be able to use that, to communicate it, to work as a team, to understand the business and how the business works, and these are extremely important things that people learn on the CIA. There's a part on the business acumen element, problem solving and things like that. Communication plays a big role in the CIA part too. This is all covered in this course. I see we have another question. So you would like to look at some sample questions. Okay, so we can have a look at that. I actually had asked for the login for the learning system on one of my colleagues, Nizreen. So basically Nizreen is asking if it's possible to see some sample questions. It's true some of the answers are tricky, but there are tactics to approaching them. And this is an exam where all the questions are multiple choice. So the answer is in front of you. And quite often, the Institute of Internal Auditor, when they're writing the exam, they will actually signal to you in the question what the answer is likely to be. So I think this is one of the key reasons why it's good to come on a course with an instructor, because they can teach you about that. So we can look at some questions perhaps at the end if we have time, but otherwise we could perhaps share some questions from the study system with you later on. We have all of your emails and everything registered. So Dr. Ravi, I see that you've been registered with the IIA before, so you've studied with Hock. Look, we will come back and address this question later, I think, but you're right. Okay, so basically, what Dr. Ravi is saying is that he felt that things worked because the exam the questions in the CIA exam were quite new every time. Well, yes, but it's also a case of, I think it's about preparing yourself to how to approach each question from the perspective of the IIA. So this is, I mean, we work with PRC, which is the partner for the IIA in the UAE, or IAA, should I say, the Internal Auditors Association, they're the exclusive partner, but they work very closely in understanding and that on the syllabus to help people pass first time. Let's just we'll move on. I'll come back to how we address questions and things like that in a bit when we're talking about the exam itself, because we've got a part of this presentation that will be about the exam itself, Dr. Ravi, okay? So let's just continue for a moment. Okay, so I have seen here that, okay, so I've got a few more questions from people about pass marks here. So, and what scores required. We're going to come on to questions about the exam in a moment. So this is just about the eligibility side of things. You need to pass all 3 papers. You could take them in any order. And you need to meet the education criteria and the experience criteria. So what happens when you register initially with the IIA is you, first of all, have to create an account with them. Once you've created that account, you have access to all of the IIA's examinations and certifications that you can register for. So then you need to actually apply to register for the CIA examination itself. And at that stage, when you do that, you'll need to upload some documents. You don't need to send them the original documents or anything like that. You are able to just upload these documents. They have to be translated to English, as far as I know, to just be qualified. Then you will get the okay. And also, when you at this stage, when you do this, you also need to get a good standing letter signed by a colleague or a friend or somebody who I'd say somebody you work with or a manager or something. You submit these documents, and you will be then approved to sit the exam. At that stage, you can go ahead and book the examination. And from the date you are approved to sit the exam, you have 4 years to pass the 3 parts. Okay, more than enough. So we are, let me just come back to this slide. So so once you've done that and you've passed the 3 parts, at that stage you're going to be able to then apply to be certified. So in order to certify, you have to then meet the experience criteria. Now, this is where there's some confusion. The experience, the amount of months of experience you need depend on your qualification. Okay, so sorry, let's go back. If you do not have, if you have less than a bachelor's, for instance, you need 60 months of experience. If you have a bachelor's degree, you need 24 months. And if you have a master's degree, you need 12 months. Okay, how do you prove this experience? Well, you have to get a letter from your reporting manager. It could be or from somebody you know who is also alive, who is all CIA, so that person can attest to your experience. So you would send this experience evidence in from whoever this third party is who vouches for you, and then you can apply for the certification. Okay, so the order which it's sort of presented on this slide is kind of somewhat wrong. It's education first, apply to sit the exam, prove the experience. Now, of course, you can sit and pass all 3 exams, and you can say that you passed the CIA, but you cannot say that you're certified as a CIA, and you will not be on the CIA's global kind of portal as a certified member. So in order to do that, you need to meet the experience criteria, but you can do that afterwards or from any point in the past. So just recently, I had a Nigerian guy that had registered on one of our previous courses. He's actually been working in banking, nothing to do with being in audit for some time, but he wanted to do the CIA. He'd done internal auditing previously, I don't know, about 6 or 7 years ago. For 5 years, he was an internal auditor. So he got a letter from this company, stamp everything to say that this was the case, and we submitted that, and he became certified. So anytime in the past or post the exam, you can get the experience, but you need the experience before you can list yourself as certified. Okay, so there was a question about online classes available to watch again. I'll just address that quickly because it's a very straightforward one. Yes, okay, we are recording the courses and you can rewatch them for the whole course. All right, so you have access to go back and review them. If you're, let's say, a bit hazy on some of the areas that happened in the past, and you are also able to catch up on anything you might miss. So definitely it's recorded. Now let's just talk about what the exam looks like. So there are 3 exams in total. You sit them at Pearson VUE. The first exam has 125 multiple choice questions. The second 2 have just 100 questions. The first exam is 2.5 hours. The second 2 are just 2 hours. Okay, so it's not a particularly lengthy exam for a professional certification. The price of the exam is a lot cheaper if you're a member of the IA or the IAA, if you're an affiliate in a country where they have an affiliate. So I would strongly recommend becoming a member. I can't give you for the whole region or for perhaps every location around the world, but I know, for instance, here, it's only $100 for an annual membership, and you will save around $140 on the first exam and $130 the second exam. So you'll save nearly $400 by paying that $100. So it's kind of a no-brainer to go for the membership. And also you get the other benefits of being a member locally and being part of the chapter and the network and everything. So that's just one thing I would highly recommend. Fee, so just so you know, it's the first exam is a bit more expensive. So I think it's $265 or maybe currency equivalent, 280 in fact. The second two parts are $230 if you're a member, and $345 if you're a non-member. So quite a substantial saving. Passing marks. So honestly, with CIA, compared to some of the other courses, I think that there isn't as much to learn. But where the problem is that the CIA have a high passing grade. You need 80% to pass and become to pass each part. So I have so many instances over the years where you know, there are people that are just borderline. I'm not sure, Dr. Ravi, if that's what you found from the past, but there are many other courses, especially like the ACCA courses and things, where the passing mark is only 50% and some of them are 70%. So 80% is actually pretty high. They don't leave people much margin for error. How to pass the exam, I would say, is practice the questions. And this is part of the learning system. Our instructors will do it with you every single session. They'll tell you about little tricks that you can learn, and we'll cover that. But you need to practice yourself. Just like if you're learning to play a sport or something, you can learn how to play cricket or football from a book or by reading about it, but you need to physically practice before you actually go out there and get on the field and play a match. You know, otherwise for sure you're going to be weak. And if you're practicing and practicing and practicing, you'll start to understand and conceptualize how the questions are put forwards in the examination. And the more you get used to that, I think the more you'll maximize your chances of succeeding. And our instructors are very clear that we recommend that you are up to I'd say around over the 90% mark on the practice and the mocks before you actually go ahead and sit the real examination, just so you have that little bit of margin for error. So let's talk about what is covered in CIA. The first part is the smallest book and the smallest amount of information to learn, but has the most questions in the examination. So it tells you something. They really need you to know these essentials. And I think that although you can sit CIA in any order, and you should definitely not be put off if you sit part one and for instance you sit for the exam and you happen not to pass it first time, to go back and to wait and sit part one again. Forget that. Just carry on and do part two, and continue through it and go back to part one later, because there's a lot of crossover, especially between part one and part two. But part one is it tells you in the title, the essentials of the internal audit. It's the foundation of everything else you need to know. It's the one that's focusing mainly on the standards. These standards are black and white. There's not many gray areas there, and you need to know them as a CIA. And the whole framework and the whole approach of CIA is based on these standards. I think we had another quick question here. Okay, I just saw. So okay, I wouldn't say no, but Dr. Ravi has asked, can anyone pass CIA in 2 to 3 months? It's possible, but it's difficult. I mean, we'll touch on what kind of amount of study is required in that when I talk about the approach to studying. Any conditions to becoming an IA member? Well, there's nothing in this presentation about the benefits of the membership, so I will touch on that briefly, because there's a question from Nisreen is about being a member. I don't know about all of the other locations, but here members are fairly active and they have events. Some of these events are free, some of them are paid. There's a lot of networking that goes on, a lot of knowledge sharing, and they're very interesting. Okay, so this I think is worth in itself for the sake of $100 a year. As I mentioned as well, if you're planning to sit the exams, it's financially a no-brainer to become a member because, for instance, if you are a non-member, you pay, for instance, for CIA Part 2 and 3, you'll pay $345 US. A member will pay $230. So you're saving yourself over $100. The membership is $100. So you should become a member for that perspective too. Are there any requirements? No, because the IIA is not just for CIA people taking CIA. It's also for leadership, for advancing internal audit in various different areas. So they do other things apart from just the CIA certification. And I'd say there's a huge amount of resources that you can tap into. Okay, so I hope that's answered your question. I'll move on now just to discuss this. Now, we were talking about the overlap. So part one, we've got the foundations, everything you need to sort of build upon. Part two is the practice. Now, I've sat through quite a bit of part two and read about it. I actually think that this is very similar to in implementing any kind of project in an organization, and it's very interesting. And this is the part where it's the stakeholder communication, everything else, reviewing, monitoring, and then going back and that feedback loop. So it's where this knowledge becomes practical. And I think what you'll find as well on the course is that there is plenty of opportunity for practical takeaways. It's not just all black and white, and this is from the book. We're not just teaching people from the curriculum. We also want you to take something away that you can start doing something immediately in your organization. So this is a very important part that I think is very interesting. The third part kind of combines 4 different areas. It's the biggest in terms of the amount of reading. So if you look at the book for part 3, it's probably about 50% bigger than part 1 and part 2. I think if you open up the course materials, you'll see that one of the good things, it's written sort of from the American style perspective. So everything's short sentences, bullet points. And I think this is across all the curriculums from different providers. Certainly the ones I've seen, Dr. Elliott mentioned HOC, I've seen Gleim, PRC we're using. So we I think are benefiting from the fact that it is direct and they keep it as concise as possible. But you will find part 3 is probably the most information to learn, especially if you're not familiar with some of these areas. And the financial management part of part 3, I'm not going to lie, is probably going to be difficult for somebody coming from a background that has no experience in finance or accounting. Okay, so somebody for part 3 might need to do a bit of extra homework to clear that part. The other areas, yes, the IT side and the information security, it may be fairly new to you, but I think in these areas you only need to learn the information that the IIA wants you to learn and be proficient at just that. It doesn't require any additional knowledge or foundational knowledge, but financial management, it would probably help if you did have that. So I'm not saying that this should be something that should put you off, but just to expect that you may need to do a bit more work if you have no financial experience at all. Many people do the course with no financial experience and pass, so it can definitely be done. So don't worry and find that it's daunting, but I'm just trying to manage your expectations here. Any further questions at the moment at all? I haven't seen anything new for some time. Let me just see if I can. So this is right. We've got Q&A. Okay, just a moment. So I think we're okay with the questions. I still have some open questions here. Okay, so. Right, I see Atif has just asked about them required to pass the exam. So I believe we'll cover that in just a second. There's a point here in the presentation about which order should you take your exams or your parts. Should you start with the most difficult, do the worst first, and then you've got like a nice downhill, easy run from there, or should you start with the foundation and work your way through and up? Now, Honestly, if you want my opinion, I think you'd be a fool to jump in and do them difficult, not because you're not capable of doing it, but because if you're new to doing a professional certification or you're not used to studying on a regular basis, which most professional working adults are not, then I think that what helps is a bit of conditioning. You know, if you're going to run a marathon, you don't just like go to start running 42-kilometer, you know, training sessions. You start with 5K and then you push yourself to 10K and then you move to a half marathon and then you push yourself all the way and go for the full marathon. Okay, so just purely from the perspective of conditioning yourself and finding the right balance in your life, I would say start at the beginning and build up, because as you progress through the course, especially if you follow our program, you will find yourself gradually getting more and more aha moments, getting more conditioned, scoring higher, finding the right balance in your life, understanding when the best time of day to study is for you, for instance, when you're not distracted, which is the best way for you to learn. All of these things take time to build up. You can't just jump in at the deep end and expect you're going to learn that. So I would highly recommend starting with CIA Part 1, then go to Part 2. Perhaps wait until you pass both of those parts curriculum-wise before sitting the exams, perhaps, but there's no reason why not to just sit the exam after each part and then move through it with momentum, let's say. So is anyone got any questions or anything to add there at all? Any experiences perhaps to share? Okay. So we're going to move on. Again, like we are just a small group of, I think, 12 participants. So anyone who wants to actually talk is welcome to unmute their microphone and raise a question, or even start a group discussion. So, or share an experience, please feel free. So look, we work with PRC in the Middle East or in the UAE. So the PRC are the exclusive partner for the Internal Auditors Association, who are the local affiliate of the Institute of Internal Auditors here in this part of the world. They work extremely closely with the IA, and they actually help them in writing the curriculum for the Arabic. So one of the reasons we are teamed up with PRC is because they provide the course material in Arabic, and if you take the exam in English or in Arabic, it doesn't matter. It doesn't say on the certificate that you have passed the Arabic exam or the English exam. It just says you passed the exam. So you can take it in whichever language you want. Now, we have some students that want to attend the course in English, but the Arabic ebooks or books to support it, and vice versa. So again, this is something that we have with PRC that we don't have with any other provider, and it's very, very useful. So this is a good point I'd like to raise. I have another question, Atif, about passing Part 1 or 3 years. So you have 4 years from when you register and are approved to sit. Okay, 4 years. And just in case you fail a part, you have 60 days before you resit it. So how many months, so Steve had asked how many months the course takes to study. Now, PRC and us, we teach this globally. PRC are based in Canada, they teach this around the world. The curriculum that we have a structured schedule. Our schedule is set so that you can study all the 4 parts in terms of attending classroom sessions in 4 months. Okay, now will you be ready in 4 months? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on your existing knowledge and expertise and how quickly you absorb information, how fast you can read, how good you are at solving questions. So everybody is different. Okay, however, it's recommended that you invest between 120 to 180 hours to get through the CIA in terms of education. Our course is around 90 hours. So assuming that you need 180 hours to do it, you can consider that approximately 30 minutes per day or 1 hour 3 times a week, as well as taking our course. That will help you clear the CIA at the upper end in terms of the recommended time. So these are for the slower candidates, 6 months. Does everybody get through it in 6 months? Of course they don't. But can it be done in 6 months, or can it be done in 2 to 3 months was another question. Of course it can. It just depends on you or amount of time you invest into it. But I don't see why anyone can't invest 30 minutes a day for a period of 6 months, which doesn't even have to be 30 minutes in one go. It can be 30 minutes broken down into 20 minutes at lunchtime, 10 minutes in the evening, 15 minutes at breakfast while you're having a coffee, 15 minutes after your family go to bed in the evening. We're talking 30 minutes a day is all you've got to find to get it through in 6. Now, I think that a reason that people are not getting through it is that they are not actually using all of the resources that are available to them and dedicating the time. And we all have very, very busy lives, but I'm telling you, I know from personal experience that can be done, because last time I sat through the CFA, at the same time as starting a new job as the director of a business unit and having a baby, so and being kept up all night and things with the baby waking up. And over the Christmas and New Year period, I did another professional certification, the Society for Human Resources Management Certified Professional. And then after I finished that, I started on the CMA course. And then we got kind of a bit bogged down with COVID, so I haven't finished that yet. But I'm used to doing this in my life. And if I can do it, then other people can do it. And on my CFA course, on the last term when we had it, there was a lady that you drive from Al Ain to Abu Dhabi 2 or 3 times a week, because we were doing the session 2 times a week on some weeks and 3 times a week on the other, who had a full-time job and would drive an hour and a half, an hour and 5 minutes to Dubai, and then an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes back to Al Ain 2-3 times a week, having a full-time job and a family. So he can do it and I can do it. Then I think realistically anyone can do it, but you just need to, you just need to commit yourself to doing it, and you will find a way to do it. 2 to 3 months though, it's demanding. Okay, so be prepared to work. You're going to have to work hard. Now, how long does it take to pass each part? Well, this hopefully should have been answered. I think the full curriculum is around 4 months. It's about 1 month for part 1 and part 2 each, and about 2 months for part 3. So we got 4 months, and then you have to do some studying in your own time, and then some practice, some mock examinations to get yourself conditioned, and then you should be good to go. This is our coaching system. Let me just check before I move on to this if there's any other questions. Okay. So, sorry, I'm maybe leaning and squinting at the screen. Right. So, I think, so, Atif, have I answered the question about you needing 3 years to pass? It's 4 years in total to pass all 3 parts. Otherwise, you have to re-register. Okay, so, and it's from the date of you being approved to be able to sit in the first place. So hopefully that explains that. So let's just check we still have everyone here. Yes, it looks like it. We've got everyone still on board. So let's move on to what we offer. So you can of course sit each part individually. So we wouldn't advise it. We would advise you just to take the 3 parts in one go. Try to do them all back to back. Keep the momentum up. And if in case you happen to fail one part, well, we've got your back. You can come sit the part again in the future. And we actually offer a very competitive discount for people that purchase them as a part. Just the same like, you know, a airline might offer late for a return flight than a single flight. Obviously, it helps us plan better and allocate our buses and understand the group sizes and things like that. So it's helpful. But having said that, because we run these classes back to back every year, then if, for instance, you want to drop out from one part and rejoin the next batch, again, we don't have an issue with people transferring and taking a gap. That's absolutely fine. What do you get? Well, we can teach the course in English and Arabic, and there are 29 sessions. There's a meet and greet session which will cover kind of what we covered today, but from the perspective of the instructor. So it's definitely advisable to be part of that. Those 29 sessions are broken down into 3 hours each session, all recorded as we've mentioned before. And they're usually held in the evenings. So depending on your time zone, it will be, if you're in KSA or Beirut, I guess it's going to be from 6 until 9 p.m. In Oman, UAE, it's from 7 until 10 p.m. And we run these courses basically end to end every 6 months. So we're just about to start the next one beginning of September. That will finish in January. Then we'll start again in February, and we'll go through till June or July time, and then we'll take a short gap, and then we'll start again. That's how we run it. Now, we have installment plans, we've got technical coaching and support, we have WhatsApp groups where you can contact the instructors. All of our instructors love to teach. I think what people find as they get more senior is that sharing knowledge is one of the most rewarding things in the world, and also one of the ways to really become a true expert at your field. So it's something that they are attentive to. But we also have a centralized team in our Beirut office that's responsible for our class experience and also making sure that everything runs as seamlessly as possible for you. Now, of course, every now and again, there might be some hiccup or some concern or something, but these guys are there to make sure that that's dealt fast and effectively, and it doesn't have any detriment on that compromising on your results. All right, so we've covered already the Morgan Promise, but I just want to cover this for some of the late attendees. So this is a promise that we have, that if for instance you attend our course and you happen to fail, you can sit again on the next batch free of cost. So you can join and come, you can sit the whole course or maybe just part of the course, and then you can come and refresh yourself. You're able to do that, and then we hopefully will make sure you definitely get through the second time around. Obviously, I don't think people want to spend their life studying. They want to spend the rest of their life practicing, and the whole idea is for us to get you through efficiently and effectively, but we've got backup in case not. So there is a question here from Atif about the flashcards. I think let me just address that because we're going to move on to what's included. Doing self-study only. I have book. So Atif's saying he's doing the self-study. He has the books and the flashcards and the quiz, etc. How can he get video lectures for just part one? Well, actually, we can probably arrange the pre-recorded lectures from before. So if you want them, I will make a note of this. We will get in touch with you and let you know how we can fix that up for you. But they are available if you want them, for sure. You have this QBank. There is an 18-month access period, but again, with the learning system, PRC have the similar commitment that we do. So you can apply to extend it if you can prove to them that you've sat the exam and failed it. And this is an extension they have. It's going to pass, a particular pass guarantee. There's this QBank. Now, I would say it's extremely vital to practice all of the questions in this QBank many times. Okay, not to remember the questions, but to understand the sorts of scenarios and things that you're going to face. So people have said I've had experience with the CLIMB and the PRC curriculums, and people have said that the QBank questions are very similar, even that they've accused them of being the same. The reason for that is because they're actually mostly going to be questions from the exams from previous years that people have faced. So this is one of the reasons you face that. So what better to do than actually solve questions? But one of the good things about the learning system is that whether or not you get the question right or wrong, it gives you the explanation behind why the right answer is the right answer and why the wrong answer is the wrong answer. And this is a really good learning tool, because we tend, as people that are studying, when we get a question, we tend to remember that we got that question wrong. It sticks in our brains. So if you get the question wrong and you remember you got it wrong and it's telling you why you got it wrong, then this in itself is enough to many people put all of those missing pieces of together from what they're trying to study in the curriculum and maximize their chances of winning. Definitely, we'll share email contact number. It's at the end of the presentation, and we'll be in touch with all of you. So throughout the region, we have program advisors, so they will be informed that you've attended tonight's session. They'll be in touch with you either maybe in the next day or so, or the start of next week, with any kind of to answer any questions or queries you've got. Okay. So let's just see if there's, okay. How are our study materials different? Dr. Ravi, look, you've asked a question that so many people ask, okay? I don't think that there's that much different from one provider to another. And I shouldn't be saying that because we represent PRC. We have a partnership with them here. But being familiar with our study materials, what I would say is the main benefit of PRC is, firstly, you're dealing with an organization that helps the IIA write the curriculum in Arabic and actually helps them with, I mean, they're actually intrinsically involved with IIA here to help them with this. So they're kind of, they have a kind of an insider type perspective that perhaps some of the other organizations maybe don't have. But I think the main reason that I like PRC is the books are lighter. There's less information. PRC focus on what you need to do, pass the exam, and that's it. Grime and Hog perhaps are a bit more detailed. But one thing I will say is that when people fail, they tend to blame the materials. When they pass, they put it down to them being a great student. And this is a bias that almost all humans have. So I would say that any study material will get you through, better than having no study material. And if you really want to pass the exam, if you just follow the steps of the course and put in the time and practice the questions, you can pass. Okay, so and people pass all the time with all sorts of problems in their lives and from all backgrounds and all experience levels. So it can be done. And if perhaps someone didn't make it before, I'd just say that should hopefully be a lesson on how to approach it differently the next round, so that next time you definitely get it nailed. But conciseness of the PRC materials is important, because if these 3 books are probably around about this big, about 5 centimeters tall when stacked on a table. That's all the reading material you've got. Now, I don't know anyone who, even if they're extremely slow reader, who can't get through that much reading material in 6 months. Okay, so I'm not saying you'll pass just by reading the material. So please don't take me wrong. It's not. This is not the right approach. But you need to utilize as much as you possibly can. But it's very concise, and hopefully that will mean that you can study and pass more efficiently. That's the objective here. So any other questions on this before we move on? Okay, I don't have anything, so I think let's just, okay, there's nothing, it's just something flicking up on my screen. So okay, this is like with most US professional-based certifications, the certification is almost like a license. And right with any license, you don't just get it and you have it forever. You need to be able to renew it, and to renew it, you have to prove that you are still actually active and you're still learning, because the industry changes all the time in every profession. And somebody who's a CIA today, probably that same person, if they never study again, the whole dynamics of the internal audit function would drastically, even in the next 5 years, let alone 10 years. So this is not like an academic qualification or some of the qualifications that we have in my country from the UK, where once you pass it, you've got it and that's it. This is an ongoing thing. It's a journey that will be with you for the rest of your professional career. So what you need to do to maintain active status if you're practicing is you need to do something called continuing professional education. How do you do this? Well, you need to attend conferences, seminars. You can attend webinars, like Morgan runs webinars on technical topics from the CIA curriculum various times of the year. We have our partners doing the same. You can read books. The IIA have a lot of resources available and they can point you to them. And you declare that you've done these, or you upload information to support it. In some cases, it's self-declaration. And you need to do that to be able to maintain your active license. So this is one thing to remember. It's a good thing, and being a member is a good thing. And it really reinforces your credibility to actually say you're part of this global professional organization. And I feel that it's a fantastic thing to have. Just to go and pass the exams and say you've done it is an achievement. But from a professional perspective, to say you're a member of this association is really to say that you are at the highest possible standards in terms of your education at the time of at any given time, if you're a practicing member. So this is important to add. Now, I want to talk about some study tips before we go over to a Q&A. I'm not sure, I have the feeling perhaps I might have missed touching on someone's question. Let me double check. So, okay. No, Dr. Ravi, unfortunately, there's no certainty about passing. We are the education provider, so we will do our absolute best to give you everything you need to pass, and a program that gets people through and passes successfully all year round. Okay, but this, if we could guarantee that everyone would pass, then everyone would just pay a fee, do the course, get the guaranteed pass. I don't think the professional certification would have that much credibility. So it is tough. And people definitely need to study, and not everyone passes time, but people do pass, and some people pass second time, and some people pass third time. And I think the main thing is about not giving up and keep persevering. So, but unfortunately, we can't give any guarantee other than you can resit our course, and you can extend your access to the learning system until you hopefully have cleared all the exams and ready. Now, here are some tips from our head office, and most of these I agree with. Some of them I do not. So I will go through them and just present my personal take on them, because I'm talking to students literally every single day. So I really get a lot of feedback, and I also am putting myself through the same journey. Sitting for the exam after each part. I think this is a great way to go. And I think that if you start any new course, it will take you probably around the first 2 weeks to find the right balance in your life. And then you can start gaining momentum. So I would say that if you feel after that 2 weeks that you're on track, And of course, you're not going to feel like you're going to ace the exam after 2 weeks, or that this is going to be a walk in the park. Okay. I would also strongly recommend, it's something I personally do, is go ahead and apply and register and book the examination. Why? Because we usually as human beings work harder when we have a deadline to meet. And also we work harder when we've got something at stake. And the fact that you've actually gone and booked the examination and paid for it and applied for it and everything approved, yes, worst case scenario, it can be rescheduled or whatever, but you've got that finite deadline. You can push yourself that little bit extra hard. So this, I think, is very important. Now, plan for 2-hour study for each study lecture. This we say on all of our courses, but CIA is not that comprehensive. I think this is way too much. You, I think, would need to spend maximum 1 hour per study lecture to actually hit that higher end that the IIA recommend, which is that 180 hours to get through it in 6 months. Okay, accumulate work experience. Well, yes, I think that by putting everything you're learning into the context of what you do on a day-to-day basis, or what people in your organization, if you're not in the role at the moment, or other people that you know, or the industry, really helps you then create these links in your brain to help you memorize things and put things into context. So it's extremely important. Do not miss important sessions. Well, honestly, you should not miss any session. There's not any session are more or less important. All of the information you need in the sessions is condensed to the point where you need to understand everything in the sessions to pass the examination. So why would you jeopardize it by missing the sessions? One of the things that we really find beneficial for our students now with the online is that everything's recorded. And you get access to your session, even if, for instance, you happen to be sat and your wife comes in and disturbs you and says that, you know, someone's at the door and there's a leak outside. I just had this the other day. My drain's leaking. There's a repairman here. It's 9. We don't know what the hell to do. You know, so I had to exit the session, of course, and you know, then I missed a big chunk. So when I came back, I was lost. So I reviewed that part of it the next day and you know, got back on track. So this is really a benefit from this online tuition, apart from the convenience factor of it all and the cost factor as well. I mean, our online courses are substantially less than our in-class courses, so it's financially very, very attractive. Plan between 6 and 12 months. Yes, I think realistically, although Atif wanted to ask if it's possible to do in 3 months, and honestly, it is. Anything's possible. But setting a 6 to 12 month period of time to pass is realistic. I think 6 months is a good time. Okay, but just in case you're not through in 6 months, then 12 months you should find there's more than enough time to pass it. We've got people passing other certifications that have far, far more content and topic and technical information to learn in 6 to 12 months. So I think, I'm not saying the CIA is easy at all, so please don't think that, but in terms of the actual amount of information to learn, it's lighter than other certifications that are done in the same amount of time. Now, the next point is extremely important. You do need to do some work outside the lecture, and we will never have enough time in the lecture to practice every single possible question in the learning system or to read every single page of material in the book. So we are going from a schedule and a slide deck that is going to pick out all the key points and then point you to exactly what you need to do between this session and the next session. And the way we structure our sessions is that we do them so you have, let's say, one is on Monday, one is on Wednesday, and then you have 5 full days before the next session. So it's enough time to go ahead and get some homework done. Now, using memory techniques, we can help you with that, and instructors will give you some guidance on how to do this. But there are some really nice things that you do to help you memorize different points. The standards are things where there's no gray area; it's black or white. So it's important memory plays an important role in the CIA examination. The multiple choice thing, doing the test run, of course. Let's talk about, I mentioned earlier that you wouldn't go and play a football match if you are not training beforehand. It's exactly the same with the examination. You need to do the mock examinations, and don't just do them once, do them twice. Do them 3 times if you want to, okay? The more you do them, the more you'll condition yourself. And one nice thing on the PRC study system, and I think a lot of the other systems, you will have a timer, and it gives you statistics. How much time it's taking you to solve the questions, how much time per question, how much time per topic, which areas you're weaker, which areas you're stronger. Now, then of course, start focusing yourself, and you can say, right, the areas where I'm weaker, I'm going to put more focus on. And the areas where I'm strong already, well, I've got this. I've got this in the bag. I'm not going to keep doing those, learning that over and over again. That's pointless. So this is a very good tactic for passing, and this conditioning helps people solve the questions quickly, that they can solve quickly in exam, and gives them more time to solve the ones that they find challenging. If you go into it without practicing the mocks and the practice questions, I think really you're setting yourself up to fail. And honestly, I think that this is one of the biggest things where people go wrong. They come to the lectures, they read the material, but they think they know everything, and they do. But the problem is that they haven't practiced the questions, so they're not effective and efficient in the exam at solving the questions in the time frame that's permitted. So it will really help you work and get your timing up and focus and everything else, and concentration, and also get you used to sitting in a chair and solving questions for 2 hours continually, and all of this kind of thing, or 2.5 hours. So it's well worth the investment of your efforts. Now, starting with most challenging topics, no, I don't agree with this, but I do agree that you should put more focus on the topics that you're weaker. This is absolute common sense. So please do that, and sacrifice a few months of your life to make it happen. And I think you can do it. And honestly, I had an epiphany in my life. A few years ago, I signed up to do a challenge. It was a fitness challenge. And I just want to talk to you about this very briefly, because it literally transformed my life. And ever since then, I felt that there's probably nothing that a person can't do if they really persevere. So I just want to share a brief story about myself and something that I did a few years back. I think that everyone would agree that 500 kilometers, that's 500,000 meters, is a long way to do on foot or by bicycle or anything like that. So I did something ridiculous. I committed, for the purpose of raising money for charity, to row on a Concept 2 rowing machine 500 kilometers. And this is probably at the time in my life by far the biggest thing that I'd ever even attempted to do. So I just want to tell you a bit about that, because I had been somebody who works in an office, at a desk, drives a car, lives in a hot country, so never really spends that much time outside, and didn't do much exercise. But I was able to run 500 kilometers, and I rode this in less than a month. And I rode this on a machine, and I just want to show you quickly, because I think this can prove that literally anything is possible if you have the right motivation. For me, the motivation was that I acted to this charity that I was going to do this, and because I made that commitment, I really felt that nothing I could do would let them down. So I just want to show you this. Now, how do you row 500 kilometers? You'd agree it's a long distance, right? this is how I did it. I set myself 20 sessions, and I tried to row 25 kilometers every single day for a period of 20 days during the holy month. I did this during the holy month because at that time in my life I was traveling a lot. So this is the only time I could actually not travel for a prolonged period. So these are all the sessions I did. Now, you guys started off 25, 25, 25, and then I thought I'd push myself and go to 30. So I did a 30K session, and then a 20K session. These are 20 kilometers in one go. This is the time, 1 hour, 50 minutes, 1 hour, 30 minutes. Okay, now, honestly, by this point, I did 20. At this point, I thought that this is impossible. I can never keep this up. I will never, ever be able to finish this. But I kept going. I came back, had a 2-day break, came again, 4-day break, came again. I continued, and I completed everything. So it took me 38 hours. I had a few aches and pains, but no injuries or anything. I completed 500 kilometers. I raised over $100,000 for charity. And how did I run it? Doing an amount each day. How did I do 25 kilometers in a day? Well, I broke it down. So in that 1 hour, 50-minute, 8-minute session, I actually broke it down. So I did 5 kilometers and then I had a 1-minute break, and then 5 kilometers, then 1-minute break. And I broke each of those 5 minutes down, 5 kilometers down into 1 kilometer, and then have a drink of water. 1 kilometer, have a drink of water. So actually what I did is 25 1 kilometers in 1 hour 58. Realistically, that's how I managed it. I didn't focus on 500 kilometers. I just focused on doing 1 kilometer, and then 1 more kilometer, and then 1 more kilometer. Now, why am I telling you this? Because this, I think, is the key to passing. This is the key to passing anything. Don't focus on 180 hours or 120 hours. Don't focus on how many lectures you've got to attend. Just focus on what you need to do today. And all you probably need to do today is half an hour or 1 hour if you're doing it every other day. So I think this is the biggest tip to succeeding. And actually, about a year later, I set myself the target to go ahead and try and do a 50-kilometer, one single race, one stint, and I managed to do that too. So now I've got my eye on 100 kilometer. But as I say, I'm not an athlete. I'm not a fitness instructor. I'm a guy that works in an office and sits on a chair for probably 6 to 8 hours a day and drives here, there, and everywhere, and doesn't exercise that much. But I know it's possible. And I know that the CFA is possible, and I'm going to do it. I know the CFA is possible, I'm going to do it. And I know that the CIA is possible because I see people doing it all the time. And I just know that it just takes commitment. That's it. The only thing that stops people actually is themselves from doubting themselves. We all doubt ourselves, and we all have, I think the ability to do it. I think that one thing that I would about our live class or our live virtual class is that this is one of the instructor's jobs is to keep you pushed, just like and hang on, I'm just going to back to the presentation. Keep pushing you, just like a personal trainer. And a personal trainer, when you're at the gym, does not sit next to the machine and watch you running at 4 kilometers an hour and not breaking a sweat. A personal trainer will push you, make you sweat, make you question your ability, push you hard, and the whole purpose of that is to help you reach your goal. And that's exactly the same of you attending that course. Come to the sessions, we'll motivate you, wish you can do it, you will sweat, you will feel uncomfortable, you will doubt yourself. This is totally normal, and this is what actually separates, I'd say the people that are the 5% of people that have those success habits from everybody else who never bother starting is that commitment and that will to win. So please, even if you don't do it with Morgan or you don't use PRC, please just go for it. don't look back, and it will be the starting point of, I think, a very virtuous cycle in your life. And that's it. Now, I'm going to go over now to I'll put the contact details up, and we'll go on to Q&A. If anyone needs to take the contact details down here now, please feel free. But let's open it up. Any questions from anyone? And please feel free to unmute your microphone if you want to. Anybody? Anyone? Okay, I think a question. Let me check. Hold on, it's not opening. Just a moment, because I'm having a problem with my mouse not opening the chat box. I'm not able to view this. Let's see, Control H. Okay. Sorry, I can't view the question that was put in the chat box. If you could put it in the Q&A, that would be fantastic, because I have that right in front of me. No, I'm not able to open the chat. Sorry. Anyone else? If you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself or pop it in the Q&A. Go for it. Let us know. Or any queries? Anyone want to challenge anything? Or anyone faced any concerns in the past or anything like that that they want to address or need any guidance at all? I think if I don't get anything else, then I think we can wrap things up. We're about in a couple of minutes ahead of time. I really thank everyone for joining us and being on the session. I really wish you the best of luck with everything, and I hope that the journey is a good one. As I say, just don't give up. Video lecture for part 1. We'll contact you, Atif. No problem. We'll get on it. I've got that noted. Anyone else at all? Okay, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us. I really appreciate your time, and thanks for holding in there till the end. I think we still have 14 people or 12 people who've made it all the way through, so I really appreciate that. And please feel free to ping me a message if you want to ask me anything. Locally, you also have a representative who will be sharing their details and getting in touch. And thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Okay, I'm going to sign off now. Best of luck. Do take care. Thank you. Good night, everyone.